Good evening and welcome to the Minions of the Zoo. I'm your host and keeper of the Harry Channel, and with me tonight are minions Sora Luna.
Hello.
And DrFunctional.
What up, Doe?
We may get some more people later. Who knows?
I'm channeling my inner Satsu. Sorry.
Your inner Satsu.
Yeah.
Hey, I sent you a link to my home grade, very thin metal deep fryer. It's pretty cool. I just want to deep fry everything now. I've never owned a deep fryer before. I've always had to fill a Dutch oven, and that just seems kind of wasteful. But I'm really enjoying the hell out of this.
Kinda,
yeah.
You just can't use it too much because you don't want to consume like too much. You know, it's still fried food.
Yeah.
But
I'm still doing that eat once a day thing. So I sort of don't care. That's the deal I've made with my body. It's like you only get to eat once a day, but you can, within reason, eat whatever you want. Speaking of eat whatever you want, what did you Canadians do for American Thanksgiving? Did you have like a turkey sandwich or something?
Well, half of us watch football.
Yeah.
Hand egg. So they watched hand egg. And the other half of us played video games, watched Netflix, same old.
Yeah.
So we celebrate Thanksgiving during the harvest season, which is its intended purpose. But anyway, but buttocks or buttocks, such a funny word. That word has enamored me ever since I was a young child because of how it is one of the funniest. I can't help but giggle internally every time somebody says buttocks or buttocks. Even the different, no, not the subject matter, just the word itself. Well,
it is a silly
it's a
word.
Good word.
Flummox is also a pretty good word. Any double X word and double X sounding word is going to be good. OCKS, bollocks. It's all good. How about you, Sora? Did you do anything fun since I've last spoken with you?
Not for American Thanksgiving, no. But I went today to our Christmas market opened last week or the week before. I'm not sure. But I made it in today. And I had some mulled wine and some raclette over smoked ham and boiled potatoes. So I'm very happy. And we bought liqueur, a spiced honey liqueur and coffee and cocoa infused vodka.
Yeah, wow.
Very good.
That does sound really good. Mm-hmm. So what's that island right by Vancouver? I know there's a big one, but isn't there
Vancouver island?
Yeah, I know. Isn't there a small island that people go to that's got lots of shopping and swanky things? It's been decades since I was in Vancouver.
Swanky?
Literally Vancouver Island, yeah.
Is it? Well, we have islands. We have islands in California. We've got Catalina Island.
Oh, I wanted so badly
nice
to go there.
Yeah.
So the first time we were over there, and we could have gone there, whatever. But it was my freaking vacation. What do you want to do? Well, I want to go to Catalina Island. Well, you can only choose that or Disneyland. I want to go to Catalina Island. Okay, we're going to Disneyland. And then we get to Disneyland. This is where daddy issues stem from. Stem from. I'm just putting it out there. If you're wondering where it's coming from, This is where it is. And we go to Disneyland here, and the lineup's too long, so we're just gonna have lunch at downtown Disney and go back to Universal Studios. Okay, and this is how trust issues are formed in children, people.
Well, I'm not sure who just showed up as Muscle Mancer Extreme. Is that what I'm looking at?
Extraordinaire.
And Skep is almost here, except he's got devices not connected, so he's got boomer audio or something. Okay, there's Skep, and then
thank you for bringing the sizzle, Geodes.
Hey boys.
And then there were 5.
But yeah, there's a bajillion little islands, but Vancouver Island's the only thing of no.
If you're looking, if you're thinking of big.
Yeah,
really, the only thing that's fancy schmancy is Victoria on that island, because everything else is nah.
Yeah, it's also
beyond if you of
wilderness.
course, if you outdoor stuff, yeah. If you're more outdoorsy, then you have the whole island.
because the top eighths of the island are all far too cold for anything fun. You have to go
That's
mainland to
Gaimo
go
on the other
skiing.
side, kind of thing.
But that's cold and wet. That's not even like cold, like wintry cold.
Yeah, and
That's
kind
like
of concretey. Oh no! Bring
Britain
back
in winter.
When the Canadians are
Apple
calling it
Apple,
cold
wait.
Attack
and wet.
crab. Stab crab.
Reject musclemancy, embrace crab. All
How
right.
was your southwestern Thanksgiving, Geodes?
Oh, it was good. We had ham. We had a little bit of vegetables. Like, it's funny. Like, we were reading articles saying like, "Oh, here's the average cost of a Thanksgiving dinner," and there's like $300, and we're just like, "What are you guys doing?" Yeah, it's like, "What are you guys doing?" We actually managed to keep it pretty cheap, and
But, for how many people is that 300?
I'm thinking of like the McAllisters from Home Alone. Like there's
All of
50
them.
people in the house. Like, no.
Apparently it's like average American household, so I'm guessing like 2 parents, 2 kids. I don't know, but it was wild. We were reading that and just going like, huh? Yeah. So.
No Thanksgiving I ever had as a kid. We did have this one time when the Irish setter ate the ass out of the turkey that was thawing on the sink. And that dog was amazing. That dog was fantastic. She would get into things she wasn't supposed to get into, but then try to like hide it. Like she got into my Easter basket once when I was a kid, but she only ate the ears off the chocolate rabbit and then left the rest. It's fine. Nobody'll notice. Nobody'll notice. That dog was smart. Oh God, that dog was smart. She used to ride around with my grandfather in his pickup truck. And she was one of those red and white setters. So she had this long hair, right? And guys would pull up thinking it was a woman. And then they'd turn and see that it was an actual dog just sitting up being very smart and clever. And everybody had a good laugh. Anyway, how have you been, Skep?
Oh, what would we do without dogs and children to entertain us? You know, it was a good, very filling Thanksgiving. Lots of food, lots of grandkids, lots of family, all that stuff. The dog sitting continues, and you know, life just kind of tripping along, getting ready for the winter. We've been harvesting all the seeds because all the seeds come out now, and we want to, you know, we're breeding impatience. The exciting things in our life is crossing different lines of impatience because it makes the petals have splashes of color. It makes them real pretty.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a weird name for a flower. You know, kind of like chastity is a weird name for a stripper. but
now on stage number 4.
Yeah. Patience. Chastity. Chanterelle. Oh, wait, what?
They never have names. Strippers?
Yes,
Is it named a stripper after some kind of fungus? That'd be so
Strippers never have names like circumspection.
Morel.
Or
Chanterelle.
responsibility.
No,
if you want to go on the nose, Fiddlehead.
Fiddlehead. Fiddlehead me this. Okay, yes. Where were we? Let's see. We were going to bullshit for a while. So we're in the bullshitting phase of the show. Let's see. Who do we have in comments here? Oh, Jack's here. Hey, Jack. Elwin. Keeverdam. Green Badger. Yay.
Hey, Badger.
People are here. We're not just talking to ourselves. Excellent.
Good to see you guys.
So, I think I told you that YouTube has decided that I'm probably a bit naughty, or at least I like spicy things. So I think
You're toxic.
This is a thumbnail that YouTube gave me, and I think they've got me figured out. What do you think of that, Skep? Do you think that thumbnail game is on point?
It's like they know you.
It's like they know me. Thanks,
I don't
YouTube.
get it, Harry. Do you like Classical music and
Oh
boobs.
yes.
And
Harry
red hairs. with
Harry and I
boobs.
both enjoy this for exactly the same reason.
I think YouTube has got me figured out.
Yep.
Good music and boobs. Wow.
It goes a little beyond
We
that.
really are
It's,
simple
it's,
creatures.
it's actually quite beyond that. But beautiful women making amazing music, man, there's just nothing, almost nothing better than that.
Yeah, it is kind of intoxicating. But YouTube, come on, I'm better than that. I'm not that. I'm not that
The
shallow.
fuck you are.
I didn't watch that video. I did not watch that video. I did make this thumbnail so I could show it to you. But I
It's a
didn't actually
fairly
watch it.
tame dress, though,
Oh, it
you know.
is.
for a concert. It's just.
But I
really
mean,
nice
if you're
feature.
trying to get people to listen to classical music, this
Yep,
is
that's a
this is
good
one
thumbnail to
effective
do it.
marketing strategy. That now the guy to her right, I'm not quite sure. We need to get
Eyebrows?
somebody more like Geodes. Yeah, he just looks a little confused or something. Like he forgot where his
just,
car keys
wandered
are.
into the wrong room.
He's like, did I leave the oven on? I don't know. I don't know what the rest of that is all about.
Yeah. Man.
Oh yeah. Let's see.
And it only gets better. Yes, I'm
Mhm.
conducting science.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, did anybody hear how Serenity's doing?
She's ill.
Mhm.
Her voice is
She
shot,
wasn't
so
feeling-
she can't join us.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I'm sorry to not hear that.
Yeah, me too.
Mhm.
Yeah, and by that I mean Serenity. I don't know what her
I
pronouns
knew
are.
what you meant.
Yeah, but
Bad sign.
yeah. So there is one thing I did sort of want to talk about. I don't have a thumbnail for it or anything. I'm not sure it particularly needs one. The ongoing saga of Twitter. I have noticed that a few times recently it won't let me log in because it returns no worky when you try to authenticate.
Mhm.
So that's not a good sign.
Mm-mm.
But
On your phone or on?
on a proper browser, I don't have
Oh,
Twitter.
yeah,
loaded
no,
on my phone.
that's an issue they've been dealing with.
Yeah,
You can only authenticate through a phone right now, which is whatever.
just yeah, interesting. But there's this whole brouhaha about Apple sort of teasing that they might drop the Twitter app from the Apple Store for the iOS applications.
I'd buy an Elon phone.
I guess just to sort of protect people from, I don't know, harmful words that might be harmful. I'm giving the Kamala Harris take on this sort of thing. And so Elon
Sure.
said,
Thank
well, I could
goodness.
just come out with my own phone. How about that? How would you enjoy that? I think that's pretty good banter. Hopefully all of this is just a bunch of saber rattling because Elon's got enough to do without trying to launch a new mobile device.
Yeah, that's one step at a time,
What?
Elon.
He could just buy Nokia.
You mean buy what's
Just
left
be like,
of
fine,
Nokia?
buy Nokia. Fuck y'all.
Yeah, I think we should all start rocking 60 series flip phones. I think that would be great. Because
I always wanted a flip phone. So, yeah. I'm
man,
down.
there was a time when I was a bit of a Nokia fanboy, and I think I've owned way more different Nokias than anybody who doesn't work at a cell phone store should ever
Wow.
own.
I've owned a few. I was a complete Nokia addict.
They were so much fun.
Just about from the jump.
Yeah. Remember when Snake was in color? That was great.
Yep, Snake. Yes, absolutely.
I think my favorite Nokia is not a particularly sexy one, but it was a candy bar phone. I think it was a 6310i.
No.
That thing, you could charge it. It had a black and white screen, and it was slim, but it felt really good in your hand. It was like a good size, right? And sort of the distance between
what she
the
said.
ear thing, the microphone and the speaker was perfect for the shape of my head. I loved that phone
That's
because
also
I could
what she
charge
said.
it and it would go for like a week, no problem. And it had great reception and it was fantastic. I ended up giving that to my grandmother, and she decided that she didn't like it, so she stuck it in a cup of melted ice cream and then went, oops.
Dang.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's toxic.
Yeah.
Holy
In
shit.
those
Yeah.
in those final years, that woman got mean.
Damn.
she got really nasty.
It's kind
Well.
of full twist.
Yeah. How dare you dunk my favorite phone in ice cream?
It's a waste of perfectly good food too.
It was a waste of perfectly good food. But I mean, Elon could actually do something like that if he wanted to. It's not that hard, but I don't see it being terribly successful. I see it being a great way to lose a lot of money.
Yeah. This may be his money pit.
He can bring Twitter, could turn Twitter around perhaps. But launching a new, entering into a cell phone war with Apple and Android, that's not, oh no. That's that's hard.
No, the entry barriers are way too high there on many, many different fronts.
Mm-hmm.
Elon is smart. He will invest a certain amount in turning Twitter around.
Mm-hmm.
And if that question mark doesn't start shining like a star, he will run away from it so fast it will make your head spin. He will sell it at a bargain basement price just to be rid of it and just have it in the rearview mirror and go on to the next thing. Because he's a mega capital attractor. He's not just worth all these billions of dollars. Do you know the kind of money that guy can put together with a phone call? He can.
Oh yeah.
If you want to do $1 trillion deal, like $1 trillion larger than the gross domestic product of Russia, $1 trillion. He can do that deal with a phone call.
It's the brand of personality. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Maybe 2 calls, but yeah. Totally.
Yep.
But that's why I think
he'd call his admin and say, "Do this."
He doesn't have to. That's why I think I somewhat disagree in that. Like, I think that he could not compete directly, but give an alternative, because there are alternatives out there. Smaller companies who make phones, they don't compete directly with Apple and like Samsung. But we're also talking back-end code of like the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. So all he would really have to do is institute some kind of free-to-play store kind of thing, like he's supposedly doing with social media. So we'll see. And I like the ideas that he's been spitting out about how he wants to open up the features of Twitter so that Twitter would be a catch-all social media platform. So if you want to do video hosting like you can do through YouTube, well, you know what? We have Twitter TV or whatever. Or you want just short form, quick bites like Twitter traditionally, you have Twitter proper. You want a more fleshed out, full engaging social media experience, we have our Facebook clone, and it'll all be intertwined into the same, like what Google has right now, or like, you know, they've got all these different subsidiaries. There's Instagram. There's the names of the social media, because I
don't think it can become a proprietary. I think the days of Apple style marketing, branding, and bolting down are over.
Yeah, the security thing, the security bugaboo is what lets them get away with it right now.
Exactly. Yeah.
If it wasn't for that small, intractable problem that isn't going anywhere, you'd be absolutely right. But the security thing is what gives them cover to do things which, under any other circumstances, they would not be able to get away with. That's the thing. Because nobody wants to have a phone that's just full of hacked ransomware, pirating, spyware, you name it, all of that sort of bad stuff.
Why would anyone buy an iPhone?
Yeah, well, iPhone security is actually pretty good, but that's a longer conversation. Hey, Geodes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about this, or do you want to pretend I didn't ask?
I mean,
because you know why I'm asking, right? Because you actually looked at alternatives recently and found the field wanting. I believe that would be a fair assessment.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm just like I've kind of given up, because every alternative I've tried to try and go like old school or just cheap has been it either has worked very inconsistently with just like basic features like text and talk, which are like the bare minimum features I would want for a phone, or just things just were completely incompatible. Like you could get an LG card activated for like a service, plug it into an LG phone, and suddenly it's not working, even though like there's no reason for that to be the case. Like everything should check out, so. And according to what people are saying online, yeah, it should check out. So I don't know.
It should check out. Yeah, that's pretty accurate. I think it was you that I was talking to about you stumbled across the cell phone with the actual dial. I'm trying to see if I can find that.
Oh yeah, I did.
That's in our chat, right?
I think so. Yeah. I don't remember where I posted it though directly, but
darn it, geodes.
Yeah, but it was an actual phone with like an old dial pad, like it was like the one that you'd slide to the number and then proceed to do the same with the next number and everything. It was kind of actually funny. I thought it was silly for a cell phone because that would get caught on all kinds of things like clothing, or it would be hard to fit into like certain types of pockets and things like that. But it was just a funny little device that I found in my travels across the internet.
Yeah. Well, there are a number of things you can do to build your own phone, but if you don't have... There's so many different bands that are out there, and any carrier only has one or two of them. Just getting good band support from whatever mobile virtual network operator you decide to get a cheap SIM card from is tough. I mean, yeah. I sent you like a website and said, here, you can start doing this. You've got to look at like a dozen different bands in just 4G alone and start lining up LTE things and trying to see, well, I've got 50% coverage with this thing and 60% with this, but of course if I go around the wrong corner, I'm going to have no coverage.
Yep.
So,
yeah,
they've got, the barriers to entry are really high, and I think you can attest firsthand to just how high they really are. Yeah, you can build a phone. Is it a phone that you would want to actually use? Well, in your case, no.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I want to disconnect from like the smartphone usage as much as possible if I can. But I have hit a point where I'm just like, you know what? Even if it's a smartphone that I don't really like, it's probably better than no phone. It's just like, yeah.
I can tell you that my perfect setup for me would be like one of the Kyocera Duraforce phones, the flip one that they make.
Yeah.
With the ability to 5G tether and a Linux tablet that I had access to every single line of code that's running on it. Mm-hmm. Give me a Linux tablet that'll just piggyback off the Wi-Fi on my phone and have all the smartphone type stuff be off in a completely different non-phone ecosystem. And then have the phone be this super rugged thing that works on all of Verizon's bands. That's the best of both worlds. It's two devices. I don't know of one device that gives me everything I want. Maybe Elon phone will. I hope it doesn't come to that.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I also discovered, and this was the part that actually made me mad, was like, even though like you're not planning on using internet data or anything like that, so really it shouldn't matter too much what network it's on, like with 3G or 4G. Like if it's just not even compatible at all with some of that, like they won't even run. Like you can't even get to turn on sometimes. Which that kind of threw me for a loop. I mean, it makes sense, but at the same time it doesn't. I don't really know. But
yeah, Verizon has they're very picky about what stuff they let on their network. T-Mobile's just like all peace and love and kumbaya. It's it's not anything like that. So, Skep, I want to take advantage of your kindness here and let you pretend to be Prospero for a moment, if you don't mind. So when
I
you
don't know as many big words as she does.
So on the one hand, these are private businesses and they can do more or less what they want. But you've reached the point where it starts to kind of have that aftertaste of monopoly. And you're looking at these kinds of decisions, if they are arbitrary and capricious, seems a lot like the beginning of a case for some sort of anti-competitive something that falls under federal law. I'm not an expert.
No.
I mean, as the main question to you is, have they reached the size where the government, where there'd be some kind of traction in a federal case if this went to become a legal dispute?
That's really a question for an attorney. The stuff like that you study in school about the Sherman Act of 1890, 1993 or so, and the Moody Act, Clayton Act, and all the antitrust legislation that is out there was really around well-established, very mature industries. Always has been that way. This is a rapidly maturing, can be shown to be, changing paradigm, sometimes month by month. I don't think it's stable enough to get where people would have faith in the case. You can make a case for that this is has become the de facto public square, that because they have functioned almost like an attractive nuisance, like they have attracted so many people to this thing that in regulating speech on it, they do something so offensive to the common weal that it merits intervention by the government. That's the kind of hurdle I think you'd probably have to cross, and that's legally, that would be a steep hurdle.
Yeah. Plus,
that's just a theory.
Yeah. Well, I guess we're going to find out, because it's going to be interesting. I just hope Apple doesn't do this, because I think it's incredibly stupid if they do play this game. It's bad enough that they're putting the threat out there, but I want to show. Hey, Sora, you still with us?
I'm here.
Okay. Does this person seem happy and well adjusted to you?
They're in
I've seen
New
this.
York, so no.
Wait. Well, we need to see
Is
that
that
again.
instant
We need
karma?
to see that again.
Oh, where's my magic marker? I need to put up a 10. Oh!
Are they wearing pants?
They're wearing something.
Oh.
Let's just, for the sake of argument, say yes.
Yeah. Oh my.
I had to look at it a few times too. That looks like fabric, I think.
Yeah, it's some kind of pantyhose type of ring.
So, I mean, on the one hand, it's really funny because she fell beautifully. Okay, that's true. But I think this is the societal rot that people have been talking about. It didn't seem like this was a normal thing that happened 10 years ago. Do you recall people just constantly freaking out and attacking food workers over counters and throwing shit and tearing up stores? Because I don't.
Yes.
No, I don't remember.
No.
No? So it's not just me?
But the frequency and the severity in which it's happening is frightening. You're seeing these pockets of societal complete collapse because shit like this is happening in NYC all over every day. A gang of motorcycles and mopeds, quad runners, robbed a guy of their BMW in broad daylight yesterday.
Wow.
New York City, like huge swaths of the city, is just becoming completely lawless. You can get away with anything. It's terrifying.
Well, this is not a problem we're going to solve. I mostly just enjoyed watching that woman fall.
Yeah.
So,
when I visited there multiple times in the 90s, I fucking love that city. It was great, but now just not a chance.
So this is a thing that happened. Italy's Giorgia Meloni to revoke benefits for Italians who refuse a job. I'm kind of enjoying the new populist conservative prime minister of Italy. I don't know about the rest of you. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni presented the government's first economic policy initiatives Tuesday, announcing a $21 billion in budget tweaks would be used to help industry and families cope with soaring energy prices. Now that sounds a little weird and annoying, but be that as it may, The Prime Minister has announced a major overhaul in Italy's economy, signaling a shift from previous governments on state benefits. Meloni's plan includes a phase out by the end of the year of the so-called citizen's wage, the crowning achievement of the five-star movement, which was in power until 2021. Meloni has vowed to abolish the expanded welfare program altogether during the campaign, arguing that it encouraged people to stay on welfare when they could work and was abused by fraudsters. The changes announced on Tuesday would knock eligible workers out of the system after 8 months or after they refuse a job offer, and requires a recipient to actually live in Italy. I know. This is some bold stuff that she's coming up with here.
That last bit wasn't already in place?
No, it wasn't. The overall budget modifications show a clear political shift, doing away with a basic income and a decade-old pension reform that Ms. Meloni and her right-wing allies have long attacked, while coming up with new measures to promote Italy's perennially low birth rate. Okay. So in terms of the low birth rate, we've talked about this in the past, and I think Skep quite accurately said, well, what would you actually do about any of this stuff? Well, I'm not prime minister of anything. Here's what one person's answer was to this. The country has one of the world's lowest birth rates and one of its oldest populations, a demographic winter that experts have warned about for decades, given the implications for the country's costly pension system. To encourage families to have more children, Meloni announced a 50% increase in the baby bonus checks parents receive the first year after the birth of a child, and 50% increase for 3 years for families with more than 3 children. Women who choose to extend maternity leave beyond 5 months for an extra month can do so on 80% of their salary rather than 30%. Meloni, Italy's first woman premier, has announced a reduced tax on feminine hygiene products and items for newborns. Now, I don't think this is going to dramatically restructure society in Italy, but it at least kind of gives people an impression that the government thinks it's important. I mean, it's a bit of a signal, and it does help a little bit, I think, to incentivize people. If money is one of the issues, this makes it a little bit easier to get over that hurdle.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know. Go. Sorry.
Korea, like South Korea, Russia, and Germany, I think all have similar incentives for giving birth, like different, bonuses, reductions. I watched this very interesting video ages ago now about you get in South Korea having a special card that basically you end up not having to pay a lot of stuff because you're getting this money put on that card by the government throughout the pregnancy and the first like few months of the child's birth, and it's all these to pay for things that you do like in the hospital or whatever, like extra stuff. So it's interesting. But what I would like to know is, do they have data already to show, has this improved the birth rate at these countries? Because then you'll know if it's going to help at all.
Well, it's too early to say. I mean, it literally just happened. So
I know. Well, for Italy, but for the other countries, do they have statistics? Like, when did they start this incentive? Has there been a marked increase, or are people signing up for these benefits? How is it working? Because it's interesting, right?
Yep. Revealed preference is what you're asking about. What do people's actions actually say about what they really think? It's called revealed preference. Because people lie about stuff. The truth. Yeah, people lie about stuff all the time, right? Right. Because they want you to feel a particular way about them. So they have to virtue signal. But when somebody says, "Oh, I really, really love my state," and they're whistling while they're packing the U-Haul, if you're leaving your state, that reveals that you really don't think it's all that great, and especially in large numbers. So sort of the Adam Carolla school of thought is I'm very sympathetic to on stuff like this. If I'm doing a job and I'm working 40 hours a week and making $80,000 a year, and somebody next to me is working the same job, working the same number of hours, possibly fewer, because they are going and picking up the kid and doing all that sort of kid stuff and getting paid not just only what I make plus like a bonus to incur, because they have X number of kids at home, that's going to kind of piss me off because we're both doing the same amount of work. That's problem number one. Problem number two is, do we really want the state being sort of a de facto parent in any way at all?
And that's what's happening is the state is kind of inserting itself as a guardian there.
Yeah, because I mean, she's right wing. She's a right wing populist, and what she's talking about could just as easily be washed with a different color and put out by somebody from the opposite side of the aisle and be indistinguishable from it.
Interesting.
I mean, to me, this doesn't seem like a particularly conservative thing. The thing that you should do is if there's any kind of disincentive that the government's creating, you would get rid of that, certainly, right?
It has a nationalist flavor. Which
it does.
There's a deep divide in Italy about, they identify nationalism with fascisti, with the World War II fascists. And there's a deep divide in Italy about how they feel about that.
I mean, for the most part, I really like that she's in there kind of shaking things up. I do.
Very, very much so.
And I think that probably what she's doing is going to do more good than harm.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
But at the same time, there's got to be a better way to solve this problem.
She's going to make some mistakes.
She's going to make some mistakes.
This might be one of those mistakes.
Well, Bolsonaro got voted out, didn't he?
Probably should talk about that.
Talk about Bolsonaro getting voted out? Why?
Yeah.
I'm just talking about...
There's some funny business.
Okay. I'm not claiming that there was anything rigged in the election or anything like that. I'm just saying that he had his chance to sort of be the conservative reformer, and it doesn't seem like he took Brazil by storm with the changes that he made.
Yeah.
I frankly think I'm surprised he wasn't more successful politically. It shouldn't have even been close as far as I'm concerned.
Let's see. Yeah, on 30 October 2022, in the second turn of the 2022 Brazilian general election, Bolsonaro lost to Luiz, impossible to pronounce, becoming the first president in Brazil to lose his bid for re-election.
I just don't want to see Maloney gone in 4 years and accomplish nothing. I would like to see her actually do really well and be just a complete pain in the ass to the EU. I like the fact that she's inside the EU making them twitch. That, to me, is a beautiful thing. But I'm easily amused. Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Oh, Geode's got yeeted.
I had to step away for a bit. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
You're good.
Okay. Let's see. What is the next thing? This is another story that came along. Now, before we get all excited about this, it says Texas school staffers accused of locking up boy until he ate his own feces. Oh. There's a lot about this story that makes absolutely no sense to me. First of all, it never says anywhere in here how long they locked this kid up for. I mean, can you imagine a scenario in public school where you would have been locked in a cupboard or anything like that? And somewhere between arriving at school, being locked up, and going home, your feces seemed like a necessary thing to eat? This whole story makes no sense to me whatsoever, but apparently it's a big deal. Does anybody know anything about this stupid story?
Well, the only, from what I've read, basically it was a kid who has special needs who they put in a room unattended, who the kid apparently fell off the chair and injured himself. And I guess, I don't know, it's one of those things where it's kind of, it's one of those things where I'm wondering how mentally damaged this kid is, or whether this kid might have had like some kind of episode or something. That's the only thing I could really figure out. But
yeah, locking up a special needs kid and not giving him the care that he needs, which he needs care. You can't just leave somebody like that alone.
Yeah.
That would be bad. Go functional.
Well, I've worked with taking care of some of these kids, and some of them, they are really really awful to the point where not the kids themselves, but the situation where you cannot leave them unsupervised for any real amount of time, because they might start digging in their diaper or doing something they shouldn't be. And not only that, but like psychological trauma of like leaving them alone or confining them somewhere where they can't see other people can set them off really badly. So this could have been a matter of hours, and it would have been immensely painful for that person. Again, just if it's a case that can be on one of those extremes, it seems like that is what happened. Obviously, I don't know the facts of the case. I read it, and like I just got so angry because this is the type of stuff that we supposedly moved past in treating the mentally disabled like this, and it infuriates me.
Because, okay, this is me again being kind of a dick, but if something like this happened with a kid, I'd be putting 10% of my attention on the teachers and probably 90% on the home environment, because something is not right about this story. Something is going on that is not in the text of this story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't
Mm-hmm.
think
Definitely.
we know everything yet, and I would say wait and see on this story.
Yeah.
You might be spinning your wheels without all the facts.
Oh, I'm confident we don't have all the facts, but I love the fact that the
Not
New
at
York
all.
Post just goes right out there, and just throws this headline out there. Like, okay, this is journalism. This is how we do journalism, because it doesn't feel like journalism.
Journalism.
Yeah, no kidding.
But yeah, I mean, you're completely right. It is leading to the bigger picture of just this is the state of mainstream journalism today. It's all bullshit and supposition and lies.
So what about this? Kanye West announces 2024 presidential bid.
Yay!
Did everybody forget that he did that
Yay.
in 2016 too?
Yay!
Yay!
Who cares?
Yay!
He's a loudmouth, crazy moron. Stop listening to famous people.
Well, he did announce
up.
this thing, and then
Except for Harry. Harry's famous, and you should listen to him all the time.
and then apparently Kanye West asked Trump to be his 2024 running mate. Like, he asked Trump if Trump wanted to be his vice president. He formerly known as Kanye West said he asked former President Trump to be his running mate in 2024. He said he mentioned a campaign during a recent visit with Trump at his Mar-a-Lago property in Florida, also tweeting a Yay 24 graphic. I think the thing that Trump was most perturbed by, me asking him to be my vice president, Ye said in the video on the Twitter post. I think he was like lower on that list of things that caught him off guard. Ye went on to say that Trump screamed at him during the meeting about a run. Yeah, you think? I don't see... I mean, this seems pretty grossly insulting to me.
This is
I can't imagine Trump being annoyed by this.
This is Omega level Milo trolling.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee it. Because Kanye did show up with him and who's the grifter YouTube guy?
Fuentes?
Banned from Fuentes.
Yeah.
Showed up with them in tow. They're framing this completely off the rails. Like, it wasn't a meeting. They went to Mar-a-Lago while Trump was having dinner, and they talked to him out on the balcony. Confirmed by staff in the restaurant and all this other stuff, people who were there. Oh, God. I mean, whatever floats your boat, Jack.
I think that was sarcasm. But yeah.
I know Jack. No, Jack is very matter of fact. He doesn't joke around.
Do you remember when people were thinking, oh, Kanye's going to be like this new ally to the right, and it's going to be great? And I think if you go dig up the episodes of this show, I said, I'm not so sure that we should be looking at it that way. I
Yeah.
think that might have actually been back when we were with when it was Prospero, Skep, and I with Messiah of Keck on that show. I think that's where that came out, and I just said, making this guy into a hero is not going to go well for us.
Right.
He is a human. Go ahead, Jim.
I was gonna say the thing that people forget is a very long track record of behavior that, how should I put this? It's behavior that under normal circumstances, when we're not dealing with the celebrity world, he probably would have been in jail for one or two of the things he's done. And like, I mean, I'm talking like physical, like hitting people, stuff like that, because that's been
Yeah, he's
reported
gotten away with
several
some shit.
times.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's just like so this. Yeah, the notion that he would ever be an ally to begin with is, it's just it was just funny. Yeah, exactly.
To me, he's kind of a human tetherball. You know, most things like in in politics, it's a pendulum swing. You know, it takes time to get from one. This guy, he goes from crazy to base to crazy to base faster than you can blink. And people seem to like forget, oh, well, he said this crazy shit. Oh, but now he's really big. He's a crazy person. Sometimes he says shit that's right. Sometimes he doesn't.
Yeah,
The only difference that I think is this is him. This isn't like Alex Jones where it's a persona. It's hyperbole. It's entertainment. This is, I believe, from what I can see, this is him speaking from his own brain, his own words.
yeah. I think it was Prospero who suggested to me, and this was the first time I'd ever thought about that, maybe he's like bipolar or something. And obviously, we don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not claiming medical
Can't make a
professionalism here or
diagnosis,
anything.
yeah.
But yeah, it's just one of those things where I was like, it was just trying to figure out why he is the way he is. Allegedly, yes, exactly. So
There, we're good. We can say
Allegedly,
whatever we
allegedly.
want now.
there you go.
Ignorant.
Allegedly, you're ignorant.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I don't know. It's just one of those things where I'm just like, whenever I hear Kanye West is doing something, I'm just like, okay, it's going to be in the news, and you know, it's probably going to amount to very little, realistically. So
Yeah, he's a good distraction. He's a very good distraction.
yeah,
Yeah, well, let's see. I was listening to some clips from Gutfeld last night. And so Gutfeld was talking about the 2024 Republican candidates, you know, people who might run against Trump. And so he'd list off a name, and then there'd be a certain amount of applause from the audience. And so, of course, he starts with DeSantis, and, you know, smattering of applause. It's pretty good. Then he says Nikki Haley, and a little bit less applause. That could just be people kind of like her, or maybe they just feel guilty not clapping, right? And as they go down the list to like Mike Pompeo and Ted Cruz, it's like you're just getting just like nothing. You're getting like just there's no, based on the incredibly scientific Gutfeld audience poll, clapping poll. I have a feeling Trump is way out ahead of all the other Republican candidates, at least in terms of people today, 2 years away from the election. I don't think most Republicans are looking forward to Trump running necessarily, but I don't think they're really thinking in terms of anybody else taking his place.
The closest I've heard, and this is just from talking with people that I work with, a lot of people do want DeSantis. And I mean, obviously, me and Serenity have talked about it. I'm not the biggest fan of DeSantis personally. We'll see how it goes, but that's about the closest that I've seen. Almost nobody else is mentioned, or if they are, it's usually somewhat in a derogatory manner because of past things that have happened, you know. So,
yeah, but in terms of Kanye allegedly asking Trump to be his vice president, that's just completely ridiculous.
Yeah.
So either it happened and he's insane, or it didn't happen and it's just great marketing. I think that's sort of what Functional was trying
Yeah,
to do,
either
right?
way, it boils down to just great marketing for everyone involved. Everybody in the connected internet sphere is talking about this, from the lowliest of YouTubers like us to, you know, mainstream media. It's just one of those things. It just catches like wildfire, and then that's step one of getting something, some momentum, whatever you might be pushing, is getting your name on people's lips. And he's been in the news consistently, ebbs and flows, but he's been in the news consistently almost as much as Trump has.
Mhm.
So he's gleaning some of that attention. I mean, you know, whatever.
Well, Balenciaga's
Kanye's
learned that not all publicity is good publicity. They had their little ad campaign where, was it some young kid is holding some bondage teddy bear thing, and that seemed to annoy people. A lot of words were bandied about. Some of them I think were really hyperbolic, and they're words I don't necessarily want to say on the air. I think we can all agree that it's a bad look, and people have every right to be pissed off about it. And I'm not surprised that they pulled the ad campaign. I think they were of the opinion that if they could just get people outraged and get Balenciaga's name on people's lips, that was a net win. I don't think it was.
No.
I mean, I think it was Sora and Serenity that taught me how to pronounce Balenciaga. But Sora has stepped away for a moment. So the first I'd heard about them was the first I'd heard about Balenciaga was when you told me how to pronounce it on a show like 6 months ago, right at the end. And now, next thing you know, they're handing out like fetish bears to kids and taking pictures for ad campaigns. What the hell?
That's so fucking sick.
I look away for like 6 months, and suddenly it's like, you know, come on, Balenciaga. I wasn't totally down on you before, and now you're doing this nonsense.
It's cyclical for these kind of big houses, right? To bring something like it's so controversial. Though I think using actual children and photographing them with additional bondage gear and stuff is a little bit much, but not that surprising coming from something like this. They're going to probably claim. I haven't looked into if there's any response, but they'll probably say it's just art house, darling. You don't understand. It's fashion, and you know. And it'll be swept under the rug.
Yeah, well, I think it was Brittany Venti and Nick Rekieta kind of got into it over this whole issue. And I can never tell with Brittany if she's trolling or not, because she is like a troll of copper cab-like proportions. I don't know. I can never tell if she's being serious about anything or not. I don't think she's serious. I can't tell.
Considering that she, from what I remember, she's part of the He Will Not Divide Us thing with like LaBeouf, Shia LaBeouf, and all those people. I would say definitely an expert level troll.
Yeah, I think she's an expert level troll. But people, the Balenciaga thing, whether you think it's CP or whether you think it's just a bad look, wherever you fall on the outrage spectrum about Balenciaga, I think they found out that on the fuck around and find out graph that they were on the wrong side of that line. This did not go well for them. I'm thinking that, to take it back to the original article, that Kanye saying what he's saying is not a net win for him. Yes, it gets him exposure. I don't see how this is good exposure. I think this is a net negative, because to anybody who hasn't been carefully following him, it just makes him look insane. It's an insane proposition. So if he said it, he's insane. If he's lying about it, he's insane. I just don't see this as a net win, even in a guerrilla marketing sense. That's me respectfully disagreeing with, I think, Functional.
No, because I think you misunderstood me.
I may have.
For me, the advertising was for Milo. Milo, my theory is that Milo's the mastermind behind all this. It's a huge troll. It's a huge chess game that he's playing on his own with his own rules, and he wants to get back into the light of things. Trying to, like, if the Twitter thing happens on Monday, the blanket amnesty, the reset, as I've been calling it, that he might ride that wave and be on people's tongues again and be relevant again. I don't think he gives a shit what happens to Daddy Trump or Kanye. But I mean, look, he's two of the hottest names on people's in the media's lips right now is Trump and Kanye, and he's riding their coattails and siphoning their exposure. So if Kanye crashes and burns, who cares? Milo's going to be standing on the ashes.
Yeah, who's that comedian in quotes from Saturday Night Live who keeps dating all these famous women?
Pete Davidson.
Pete Davidson, yeah. Maybe he could get Pete Davidson to be his vice president. That would be hilarious.
I mean, in all honesty, I think Trump would be.
It'll come out of nowhere. It'll definitely take people by surprise.
Kanye Bieber 2024. Yeah, Bieber's a Canadian, isn't he? Isn't he one of yours?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you guys took him in, so it's no backsies.
Yeah, it's okay.
Well, let me ask you this: as long as we're kicking it around.
Okay. Are you asking me or who are you asking?
The panel.
Okay.
You and everybody.
Go ahead.
Trump is obviously going to be the nominee of the Republican Party in the next presidential election. Who is going to be his running mate? I think that's a very interesting question.
I think he'd be stupid to not pick Carrie Lake. She's quick-witted. She ticks a diversity box, so she's a whammon, but she's not a whammon. She's a woman. She's well-spoken. She's very on the ball. She's got some good sound bites already.
Does she have any legislative experience?
Did Trump?
That's not what I asked. You're answering a question with a question.
I don't know.
Now, having a ticket with one person that has no legislative experience is one thing. Having one with, one guy who sort of got in and then bring another one in who has no experience, I can see them spinning this in a way that the Republicans would not enjoy. Remember that the media is 10-1 against these people in terms of spin. So I like the idea because she's very quick. She's knows how to handle the media, so she knows how to campaign well, I think. I think she would do really well.
And Michigan, which are going to be, and Wisconsin, which are going to be the new swing states.
Yeah, it used to be that you would just sort of have candidate A at the top of the ticket and candidate B, meaning whoever could bring the rest of the South along for the ride. And
Right.
that was the formula. And that formula is broken to hell now. It
so
doesn't
broken
mean
now.
anything.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, I like Carrie Lake. That would be interesting, but I think that the media would probably spin that into a net negative against him. I could be wrong.
She doesn't come from the right part of the country. Sorry, but this is not going to work.
But
I mean, she was a journalist, wasn't she?
she was. The biggest issue I see with her, and it's not necessarily with her per se, but even Fox News was doing this. They were all spinning the narrative of we are seeing. There's two narratives they're spinning. One is we're seeing these Trump elected Republicans all failing, which was not entirely true because Arizona has a few things going on that need to be addressed.
Like 80 wins, like 4 losses, and they're like, "Oh, look, he lost."
Allegedly, yes.
Allegedly.
That's number one, and then number two is that they were starting to emphasize, like, we're starting to see this rise in these politicians who, run, don't win, and then claim they won and just act like impetulant children. So they're doing that narrative again. So they're trying to, and this was Fox News talking about this. So if her and Trump run on the same ticket, those talking points are both probably going to be major talking points. And I think that's actually kind of what they're setting up, because I think they are also anticipating if Carrie Lake becomes his, vice president or VP.
Yeah,
So.
Pence, not the most exciting man in the world, but reliable. That was the thing about Pence, is he was reliable and stable, and he made the ticket look more balanced, because there would always the idea that they were trying to sell us on is it's okay if Trump's a little out there, and he doesn't have a lot of experience. He's got old Mike the anchor to go along with him.
And Pence is a surprisingly good speaker.
Yeah, he is.
Wasn't he a radio host?
I don't know.
I think that was his background, was as a talk radio host. I'm really not kidding.
Well, now you're just trying to make me like Mike Pence.
I think that is. Hang on, I'll tell you in a sec.
I had this. It's much more fun to think of him as real life Race Bannon, but okay, talk show host, radio host, talk radio host, I guess. That's a hard job. Can you imagine what it would be like just having to do that for 3-4 hours a day, 5 days a week?
After losing 2 bids for a congressional seat in 1988 and 1990, he became a conservative radio and television talk show host from 1994 to 1999. Then he was elected to U.S. House of Representatives in 2000 and so forth and so on. Yeah. So that may be why he just seems so at home in front of the camera.
Well, since we have 2 Canadians with us here, we also have this allegedly.
And blame them.
We have this story here. Largest gun ban in Canadian history. Bill amendment could criminalize millions of hunting rifles. Because if a little of something is good, a lot of something is better. Right, Sora?
Oh, yeah, 100%. This is not alarming and bad in any way.
I mean, do you want children to get shot? We have to get rid of all the hunting rifles. Because in that way, kids can just be gored by moose.
So
because
first, no. First, I want money incentives. No, you set up birth money incentives because none of these plans talk about how long the kids to survive, right? They just need you. They just say you need to give birth to them, and then you get all this money. And then, well, if they toddle over a handgun that happens to be on the ground and something happens, well, that's okay. Make another, right?
Oh, I thought you were going to send them to Vancouver Island and then hunt them for sport.
Oh, we could do that too.
I mean, it sounds like Vancouver Island needs some sprucing up. There's not even a place on the drinking game for that comment. That's just how inappropriate that was.
Yep.
So what the hell's going on? I mean, you functional. Explain to me Canuckistan and what's going on here. Is there something that precipitated this event, or did they just decide they hadn't virtue signaled in the last 5 minutes?
The latter. I mean, he's been ever since he got into office trying to go after gun rights. It's been shot down every single bloody time. People seem to forget that even as recent as 2016, per capita, gun ownership in Canada was higher than the United States. There were more guns per people, legal guns per people, pre-2016. Up I think it goes all the way back to the 80s, or as far back as I looked, and we also, the cityots that my neighbors like to forget that 99% of our country is uncaring, unfeeling wilderness that will destroy you, and those are the people who mostly have the guns.
Mm-hmm.
Like living up in northern Ontario, there's no way in hell I would even leave the front door of my cabin without at least 2 firearms on me. So yeah, they can try. It'll fail. I hope it fails. But
well, it's the because reading the comments, not in this article, but I picked it up from a Reddit thing, is people broke down the list, and it's a lot of some of the guns and stuff some are museum pieces. They're that old. They're going back that far. Some of them are Mauser, Brazilian Mauser, this or that or the other. So things that aren't even,
it's things that they can point to and say, nobody needs an M1 Garand from World War One.
They had the bolt action a bunch of bolt action stuff that are like World War I bolt action or something like that. Something really like you're like, oh, that's kind of cool if you had seen it, or you might have last seen it in a movie because they used replicas.
It's something that, like you said, only a museum or an avid firearms collector who likes these classic pieces would even have. But it's that
and
wedge,
they may not even
right?
have ammunition for it, right? Like they're just collecting it for
you could get it,
the
but
historical factor.
Harder.
Well, like I said, I'm not a gun person. All of my guns were lost in a tragic boating accident, so I don't know anything about them. But I do believe that the M1 is a little heavy for hunting. It's not really the gun you would want to go schlepping around the wilderness trying to hunt with.
No, it's a trench weapon.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that you couldn't use it, and it doesn't mean you couldn't use it if something came to your property. No schlepping involved. Is just going outside and taking out a coyote or something with extreme prejudice. You could do that easily with an M1.
That was actually the drill piece that we had at Officer Kennedy School. You had to learn to drill with a rifle, and that was the drill piece that we have was dummy M1s. It's exactly what we had with the working bolt and everything.
Awesome.
Yep. On a note on the boating accident stuff, there is a study that shows that people who are about to part with their guns oftentimes go to reminisce and lament out at lakes and rivers and other things, and that's typically how that happens. So
it's true. It's like that. It's
mine.
like that.
That's what happened with mine.
It's like that kite-eating tree in Peanuts, except it's the gun-eating lake.
In 10,000 years from now, after the fall of the civilization and everything, somebody's going to find one in a lake, and the new tale of Arthur, King of the Britons, will emerge.
Yeah, I think what's worse than a sword that's been more useless than a sword that's been sitting in a lake? A gun that's been sitting in a lake.
Not an AK-47.
Share your wisdom, tank of the lake.
So the question I always ask when this comes up is, well, we know that if we took guns away, that certain types of events would be less likely to happen. Totally accept that. But we're not looking at the big picture of what other things would happen also. Excuse me, and would those be good things or bad things? Like hot break-ins. What do we know about hot break-ins? Now, I think this is a Geodes thing, right? Didn't you post this? Banning guns will increase crime, Harvard study overview. Yeah. And I looked through this. There's a lot of stuff. I'm not even going to pretend to say that the blog gunassociation.org is a fair-minded, objective source for this information, okay? Let's just accept and acknowledge the bias outright. This is not a fair and balanced
bias.
look.
It's about starting a conversation.
I'm sure they have cherry-picked the hell out of this Harvard study.
What about your bias? You're immediately assuming, Harry. Come on.
I'm an alt-centrist. Don't even look at me, man.
Ooh, radical you.
So I was going through this, and of course, here's the question that I always ask. The felons most frightened about confronting an armed victim were those from states with the greatest relative number of privately owned firearms. Conversely, robbery is highest in states that most restrict gun ownership. I know, it's kind of a startling revelation, but if you're a career criminal, meaning this is how you make your living, right? And you know that 1 in 100 people is in their home and will shoot you in the head if you break in.
1 in 100.
1 in 100 is all it takes. 1 in 1,000. If you're a career criminal, that means that if you rob one home a night, the odds that you're going to be dead with a fairly short career are pretty darn high. I mean, it's not going to go well for you. You don't need a lot of guns and a lot of homes to deter people from hot break-ins. Yeah. At least do me the courtesy of waiting until I'm gone before you come in and take all my shit.
I mean, if you look in neighborhoods like where I live, I don't happen to have any guns.
No, you lost them all.
I lost them in the lake accident, but my neighbors have a lot of guns.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of look out for each other. And the other thing is that, it's not 1 in 10 would have a gun here. It's probably more like 4 in 10.
But even a low number, if you're a career criminal, that's enough, right?
Yeah.
You know, that means the odds are within 100 nights I'm going to be. I know that's not how probability works. Don't bust my balls about this. But for the sake of argument,
No.
you know, if 100 people have those and you've robbed one house a night, you got 100. You know, you got 100 days before you're going to get blown away. 50. But yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
So having the right people have guns is not necessarily such a bad thing. But this Canadian thing where you're going after antiques, I mean, do we have any... I don't know who hurt you guys up there so much. It's just a virtue signal, right? You've already answered that question. It's not in response to anything.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think
the
it's a
thing is
virtue
that
signal.
It could just be a very prolonged response to that guy in the Maritimes who went nuts, the ex-dentist dude, and shot a bunch of people. But the thing is that at least here on the West Coast, we've been dealing with, and I'm sure on the East Coast too, but we've been dealing with increased gang violence, and then it's in cycles, right? The gangbangers kill each other a couple of times, do us all a favor, and then quiet down for like a few months. But it's nothing that's necessarily, it feels like it's increased. I think it might be a little bit with the brazenness, but I think it's nothing that came out of like that to make this extra special to be talking about now, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right, like it's the same stuff, the same news story that you hear fairly often, and instead of like the real conversation should be, okay, how are these guns continuously entering the country that are not registered to anybody? A local 17-year-old kid here was found with a trunk full of automatic weapons.
Wow, he's a go-getter.
How the hell did he get access, and how did it get into the city? Were they originated already in Canada? Were they stolen? Did it come across the border in a container ship? Like, what the hell? How did that? Oh, no, we're not asking that question. We're not
Swayze
asking
Express.
that question.
Yeah.
We're going to ban guns instead.
Yeah, I don't want kids and people in nightclubs to be shot. I mean, I don't want the world to be a place where you're afraid to go out at night. But it's a big country, and you know, as a cause of death goes, I'm much more worried about people eating themselves to death, or drinking themselves to death, or smoking themselves to death. I'm sorry?
Being depressed to death.
Or being depressed to death, or your fine health hotline that tells veterans, have you considered suicide? You know, that's fantastic. You got it made.
By the way, there was another one reported just the other day.
Really?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Your country's awesome.
Yeah. Well.
I live in California.
So, did they have drive-through suicide now? Is that what they legalized in Canada?
No.
You guys have Soylent Green yet?
Somebody,
Yes.
I don't know if it's on Twitter or someone linked it somewhere in the Discords, but someone made a funny like meme pic of like, I'm ill, and then the other panel is, have you considered? And I think it shows the paid thing or something like that. I can't remember where I saw it, but it every time I think of it, I laugh, and it's sad. Just because it's like, I just want effective medical treatment. Oh, have you considered death?
Have you considered death? Have you considered just not trying ever anything?
I'm depressed and suicidal, and I have PTSD from serving in the army. Have you tried killing yourself?
Yeah, and
wait, what? That's fucking illegal.
I unfortunately know entirely too many people who've been close to me who've taken that option. So anybody who thinks I'm being insensitive, no, it's just gallows humor. It's just how we cope with it.
As have I.
So just spare me the comments in chat about how I'm an asshole. I already know that, but I don't deserve it for this. I don't, as a rule. Now, Geodes, you still with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
So Geodes, you frequently will send me stories about crypto stuff. And what do I do with said stories? Usually nothing, because I don't like talking about crypto. I don't like talking about crypto because I feel like it's a really hard thing to talk about in any kind of real way in the amount of time that we have. And I'm not like a crypto person. All my crypto fell in a lake. So I don't have it anymore. But
You threw away the computer.
yeah,
with
I threw
your
all of it
billions
away.
of stuff.
But I think the FTX thing we can kind of wrap our hands around, because it's a story as old as time. Boy gets money, boy steals some of the money, boy starts Ponzi scheme, boy hopefully goes to jail. I think that's the story we're talking about, right?
Boy meets girl named Tyrone.
old crypto seller. So have you been paying attention to this, Geodes? I think you probably have. Nope, he's muted again. Okay, so I'll stop talking to Geodes.
Are we good?
Are you there? Okay.
I don't know what happened. My internet started going.
Uh-oh.
Okay,
Likely excuse.
let's scrap the plan where I talk to Geodes about this and go with a different plan. Hey, has anybody else been following this story? Because I
No,
think
but
it's
there's
pretty,
a lot of
pretty
funny
awesome.
memes on Twitter about him and the girl.
Well, I was looking for a timeline because I wanted to see sort of how this thing unfolded. And so I found this timeline. I should just put this in the chat. This is actually not something we're going to go over every part of it. Okay, not private chat, everybody chat. Okay, so see, May to July, a series of crypto collapses, right? Trigger a wave of bankruptcies. FTX moves in to bail out these people, out BlockFi with the option to buy. Them bailing out all these people, they were talking about, oh, this guy, this Freed guy, he's fantastic. Look at him, he's such a great guy. He moves in, and when other people fail, he just bails them out. Which raises no red flags at all. You fast forward to November 2nd, and this whole relationship they have with this Alameda research thing, starts to come out. Essentially, billions of Alameda's value can be traced to the cryptocurrency, the sister company.
Yeah.
Okay. So then the Binance realizes something's going on November 6th and says, yeah, we're just going to sell all of our stuff. So Binance is like, nope, goodbye. We don't want anything to do with any of this stuff here. The price of FTT craters to less than $6. CZ, who's this financial person here, the Chinese guy here, reveals that Binance has entered into a long binding agreement to purchase FTX completely. Crucially, the buyout pens on a due diligence check of FTX's financials. And that is not something that they want. They do not want a due diligence check of their financials. Because at this point, they start to figure out a bunch of this money is just gone. Like, where did it go?
Yeah.
Oops.
It's been a pretty, the little bit I've caught of it's been pretty incredible. Like how much of this company was, like how it was functioning, how people are like suddenly surprised by red flags that for some reason weren't red flags. It's just...
Well, it started on the 2nd, right? And so by November 11th, FTX, their U.S. branch, and Alameda, the other holding company, and dozens of subsidiaries filed for bankruptcy in the U.S. Friedman resigns as CEO, is replaced by John J. Ray III, who famously oversaw the liquidation of Enron. Later in the day, FTX is hacked, and over $300 million is moved off the exchange.
Yeah.
FTX advises users to delete its mobile app. SPF later blames an ex-employee and malware on the ex-employee's computer for the theft, as one does.
Of course.
Reuters on the 13th says $1 billion in funds is missing. There's a class action suit, I know, against the people who've basically been shilling for this company. Larry David, Tom Brady, Giselle, yada, yada, yada. Right? All these people who've been shilling for awesome FTX. And then the feds get involved on the 16th. In the 17th, they're in bankruptcy court. Never in my career have I seen such a complete failure of corporate controls and such a complete absence of trustworthy financial information as occurred here. That's kind of a bad indictment. And then on the 21st, somebody puts out a deep fake video saying, of the guy who runs the company saying, to collect their compensation, they go to this website that's basically a big scam. You know, so I mean, they're getting just shit on everywhere they possibly go. I mean, this thing just collapsed. It's just amazing watching this thing collapse, and all the big names that are involved in it. They're going to just brush this under the rug, though. The Democrats who've received a lot of this money, and they give a bunch of money to Republicans too.
That's why
You notice nobody's giving any of it back.
No, and none of it ever will be returned.
That's the
I would
first
love to
Ferengi
know-
rule of acquisition, right, Skep?
Yeah, I would love to know the sources and uses on the funds that flowed through this organization. I would love to see where that money ended up. I'll bet a lot of it ended up in political coffers that might be very embarrassed to give it back, having already spent it.
Well, I found one thing which I thought was interesting. Congress members tried to stop the SEC's inquiry into FTX. The Blockchain 8 wrote a bipartisan letter in March attempting to chill the SEC's information request to crypto firms. FTX was one of those firms.
And Harry, you're right. It's the first pinnacle rule. Once you have their money,
Never give it back. First rule of acquisition.
Yep.
So this group of 4 Democrats and 4 Republicans basically put pressure on the SEC saying, come on, you don't want to stifle all this great innovation. You should just leave these people alone. Which raises the question, Skep, what do you want to bet, ... Oh, wait. Allegedly. Allegedly.
That's ignorant.
Because this looks a lot like influence was bought and paid for. And the reason why nobody looked into this before is everybody was perfectly happy with the way things were going.
Absolutely.
Up until it all fell apart.
Keep a lid on it. Keep a lid on it. That was the way that they treated that. And then when toxic back away from it. It's classic Washington turtling behavior.
But it's not just Democrats. I mean, this is 4 Democrats, 4 Republicans. I think a lot of these people were getting money. I think it was bipartisan payoff.
It's from what I've heard, it's something like 80% seems to have gone to Democrats and about 20% to Republicans. It's a substantial amount to the Republicans.
Yeah. There's a case like this a few years ago, kind of. And like one of the other cryptocurrency markets, not to this scale, but where basically the guy and his wife who were in charge of the whole thing mysteriously disappeared, but reports were saying they might have ended up in India or something. And it was like 300 billion or something, or 300 million. I can't remember what the
numbers just get so big that it almost doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right? It's just like million, billion, trillion, doesn't matter.
Yeah, but it's just one of those things where I'm just like, I've been having this, the discussion I've been having with my folks is basically, I'm like, I don't want my biggest fear of getting into stuff like crypto, or even for that matter, like the stock market, which is just basically not quite as extreme, but is that you do run a risk. I mean, there is always a risk of something like this happening. To me, crypto is just so unsecure in many ways that I don't know. I really just don't buy into the idea that you.
How is crypto different from a bank?
I mean, the way the money value can adjust in such a short amount of time. You can go from having a crypto coin or whatever be valued.
It is a lot more volatile, but currencies adjust in value relative to one another all the time.
But there's more history.
Nowhere near to
kind
the
of
same
back.
Cryptocurrencies just have more variability, and they have more things that buffet them. They have more things that influence their price too.
Well, this is where somebody's going to start to use the word fiat currency any time now. But the cryptocurrency is useful as currency because it's limited, right? It's a finite resource, so you can use it as a some fungible instrument in terms of relative to something else.
Exchange
allegedly,
right? And then you've got money that's backed by gold, which some people say it has an intrinsic value, or silver. And then there's money that's backed by the goodwill and best wishes and hearty handshake of a government, right? And that's the fiat currency that everybody loves. So on some level, all money basically depends on everybody agreeing that it's worth something for some reason, whatever that reason is.
And that is my point.
Right. And so the thing about crypto is if a government were to issue it, right, then it would be a mechanism by which they'd say, okay, we're a government, we stand behind this, and we can't print more than a certain amount of it. That scheme would seem kind of okay. But the fact that the tokens for this are just sort of coming out of the ether means that we all have to just sort of collectively agree that, yeah, this is just sort of worth something. There's nothing behind it other than the fact that it's limited.
Right.
And that's what's just kind of odd about it. It just doesn't feel right. You can't get naked and roll around in it Scrooge McDuck style.
What happens with currencies like that when they're supported by nothing? When times get bad, they drop to worth nothing.
Yeah, real estate is good. Tangible physical property is good.
They ain't making any more of it.
Yeah. This is why art and gems and precious metals and stuff have had value like forever.
Up on long-term consumables.
Yes.
Yeah. I was going to get one of those Banksies, but they keep disappearing.
I figured they'd have paint splashed on
and mashed potatoes and creamed corn or whatever else Greta's up to these days.
Yeah.
So speaking of the grift, let's make sure. Oh, this is okay. We're not gonna. I'm gonna do this properly. I'm not gonna screw this up. You're not gonna make fun of me this time.
Ella Shemp.
Here we go. Let's see if you're
Pregnant
actually gonna
again.
get audio.
May not have to
Do you
begin
have
her
audio?
11-year prison sentence as
Yes,
some
got it.
prosecutors might have hoped for.
According to reports, Holmes' legal team is expected to appeal her 11-year prison sentence, therefore delaying the date that she would turn herself in. On Friday, the disgraced Theranos founder was sentenced to 135 months behind bars after being charged for misleading investors and endangering patients while peddling fake blood testing technology.
And you might notice there's something different about her. She's got a certain glow.
Yes.
Yeah, everybody was thinking that she was going to go spend time in jail. Not so much.
Technology. Holmes is currently pregnant with her second child. Her attorneys must file an appeal within the next 2 weeks.
Joining us now to weigh in on what's next for the case is defense attorney Paula Canny. Paula, thanks for being with us.
I'm going to tell you what Paula's going to say. She's going to say, yeah, she's preggers and this could delay things. Between the appeal
Cunning and brave.
and her being pregnant, nothing resembling justice for the people who are ripped off is going to occur anytime soon.
How far along is she?
She's going to be delivering soon.
Big, like 8 months at least, not 9.
Oh boy.
Like
Yeah.
right at the tail end,
It's
yeah.
probably,
She should move to Italy and have that kid.
Yeah,
get
because
some
what I was
tax breaks.
contemplating, if it was early enough in the pregnancy, just go ahead and cut her head off.
Well, it gets into the whole discussion of, well, what do we do with pregnant people who go to jail? And
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
like,
They go to jail,
Yeah.
and then they have their kids in jail, and that child is taken away from them, and
Yeah.
they can appeal to get their child out of foster care when they're out.
oh, you're so
I
cold,
have-
Sora. You're so
No,
cold.
there is this woman on
What about the
on
children? They
YouTube.
won't. Yeah,
on YouTube who went into
I'm-
jail
I'm
because
being-
of drugs.
yeah.
And this is what happened. She was pregnant in jail. They didn't know she was pregnant until a little bit while, I think, maybe. I'm not sure. I can't remember the timeline. But yeah, they're basically like, well, sucks to be you, I guess.
But Elizabeth Holmes was going to save people. All she did was try to help people, and then the cruel patriarchal system kept her down. Can't you
Yeah.
see how unfair it is? She shouldn't have to. I mean, it's not fair to her or her child that she should have to have that
Oh, I
child in jail.
agree.
I swear to
Oh.
God, with as much misery as she caused Harry, death penalty. I would pull the trigger on the gun to blow her little heartless brain out of her head. Fuck. her.
Well, that's very
Yeah,
Chinese
I
of
would-
you.
Well,
Yeah,
I would
I'd
take
do it
it
in a heartbeat.
take it a step further, Skep, and do the Cardassian method of cut her open, take the innocent child out, and leave her to die on the table.
I don't have a thing for this. All I have is allegedly, and that doesn't really seem to cover what you're doing.
Allegedly, that's what I would do.
Allegedly.
The views
Yeah,
expressed are those of the participants and not of Harry.
The problem is she's got money. She's got access to even more money. And she's really playing up the whole sympathy card. She should have gotten a lot longer in jail. She got a relatively life sentence considering what she did.
Mm-hmm.
And now we can't even manage to get her ass into jail because she can just keep making babies
She
indefinitely.
does not need to raise that baby.
They will find somebody to raise that baby.
Yep.
It will be fine.
Yep.
And honestly, couldn't she end up getting out a lot earlier for good behavior? Anyway, I mean,
she'll
A
serve
10, 11
no-
year sentence, she's going to serve,
she
what,
will
2?
serve no more than 2 or 3 years at
Yeah.
the very most, at a minimum security facility,
Mm-hmm.
open work
Luxury
privileges,
facility.
and probably get early release even from that with an ankle monitor that she'll wear for a year, and then get out of that and supervised release for 5 years or whatever.
She could work in the kitchen and learn. She could learn how to make paella. It'd be excellent.
And she can
And then
release
she
the
could take-
cookbook, tell all
Yeah.
afterwards, and
I actually have Snoop Dogg's cookbook.
I didn't know he had one. Is it good?
I enjoy it.
That is a toxic individual. I swear to God, she will corrupt anything she touches.
I just want to see her spend some time in jail, and it just keeps not happening.
She's going to show up on your doorstep, Harry. Mark my words. Your
It's like, I
arch
heard you
nemesis
keep
will come to
talking
you.
about me, huh?
Yeah.
That's why I use a pseudo pseudonym. She's gonna have to find me. Just don't dox me. We'll be fine.
It's almost just like there's some kind of I don't know privilege about being able to bear
Pretty blonde
children
girl with money. Yeah.
in the legal system. It's almost like women aren't treated the same as. Never mind.
Yeah, it's almost like the legal system doesn't care about you unless you're fall into certain protected classes. Yeah, anyway, this is my nemesis. This is what she's up to. She's not going to be in jail anytime soon. Between the pregnancy and the appeal, she's going to be out on some ridiculous bond for the next couple years. She's not seeing jail anytime soon. She might die of natural causes. I mean, legitimately, die of natural causes before she ever sees a day in jail.
You might be right.
Yeah.
You may well be right. Especially if the sentence gets reduced. That's very, very possible.
On the plus side, this has all the makings of excellent Hollywood drama film. You can bet that the rights will be sold by her to some executive or producer.
Well, segueing from one baby maker to another.
Exciting. Something the Monterey Whale Watch team says
Aw.
they've never seen before.
Oh,
So we thought that maybe it
Whale
was a
deal.
different kind of animal at first. We were very confused.
That is when cinematographer Evan Brodsky took up the drone to get a closer look.
Drones
I
finally do
was quite
something
amazed.
useful.
There was definitely mama nearby,
Oh,
so
Brodsky,
it was a
okay.
good sign it was a calf. But seeing the small size of this baby calf, literally smaller than the pectoral fin on these full-grown
Man,
mama
that
humpback,
brings
which
back
is
Oh,
memories.
up to 15
baby.
feet long.
According to the Monterey Whale Watch, this is the first ever documented calf off the Monterey coast. You see,
Oh.
Because normally the calves
Whale.
are born much further south, in warmer water. They're not quite sure what the hell happened, but somebody got their timing screwed up because this calf has no business being off the coast of Central California right now because it's too cold, and he's just a little wee thing, and he needs to be in warmer water where his life is easier. So hopefully this little guy's going to be all right.
Little baby.
A lot of talk of babies on tonight's Minions. I don't know what's going on.
This is the best baby, though.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. I like
that
that
is
one.
pretty cool, baby.
Yeah, none of the sunfish stuff. This is a much
No.
better, much better.
Much nobler fish.
Whales aren't
Sunfish.
fish.
So, okay,
Depends on the fish.
gentlemen, I want to show you something super cool. I love this. This I literally could feel my testosterone increase by 50% just watching this video. This is the best video ever. Look at this. Now that is skill.
He's making coasters here.
And he's got to do all of this without knocking over the log or spilling the beer.
And then he's got to drink the beer, right?
Of course he's going to drink the beer. He's earned it after that.
This is like extreme Jenga.
This is like extreme Jenga. Look at what he's doing now.
Chainsaw.
Damn.
So pretty.
That's
Well
awesome.
done. Okay, that's very
I'm so happy. I want to get a
That makes
chainsaw and
me
start
happy.
practicing right now.
Absolutely. As a longtime chainsaw connoisseur and practitioner, that was the thing of beauty to watch.
That's some peak chainsaws, what that
That
is.
was peak chainsaw right there. It really was. Excellent.
Wrangler Star would be proud.
Wrangler Star would be proud. Let's see. Did I screw everything up? Okay, no, we're fine. So, there's a bit of a thing I talked to you guys about before the stream. Remember the World Economic Forum was saying, you'll own nothing and be happy?
Yeah.
And I know that Functional and Geodes, I guess we got a lot of gamers here. Basically, everybody other than me and Skep is a gamer
What
on
did you
some
just
level,
call me?
right? Gamer.
Oh. Yeah, fuck you too, Harry.
Yeah, I know.
Gamer is the new gamer word.
Yeah. So you've seen all this stuff happen where it used to be you'd buy a game, it would mostly work, and then you would play it, and then you would go get another game. Now it's all loot boxes and upgrades and in-app purchases and all that sort of nonsense because they've figured out they can just get tons and tons of money out of a small number of players. So why not bankrupt a couple of these game simps?
Yeah, there's several different models. Like one of the big ones that seems to do really well that you alluded to is the game itself is free, but then there's all the paid tack-ons like loot boxes or upgrades or whatever. And mostly the community's been good in keeping them in check in that excuse me, sorry about that. In that it's mostly cosmetic, not what we would call a pay-to-win model. So you get your fancy skins, you get this, most notably games like League of Legends, Fortnite, Overwatch, free games. Anything you pay isn't going to actually affect your gameplay ability or your competitiveness. There's another one, big one, that's kind of like the World of Warcraft model. You buy the game and you pay a monthly fee. And that monthly fee, you do get returns. And in that case, you do get returns. It's a constant development system. There's constant upgrades, new content, whatever. Another similar one to that is the season pass model, which you would get some of those content updates, cosmetics, etc. when you pay for, $15, and now you get the next 4 months of the game time to start earning those rewards or whatever. And then there's the, you buy a game and you own that game. But even in that case, you don't own any physical media. You're owning what's called DRM, digital rights management. And in that case, it's very dangerous. In a lot of cases, actually, you don't own something. They can, and they have in the past, revoked people's access to games that they paid for.
Yep. And I mean,
that's the basic sort of
and
different models.
If we want to even go a bit like deeper into like kind of history, I mean, DLC was at one time was considered kind of an intrusion into the gaming industry. Downloadable content, which is just additional content for a game, because originally when it first came out, it was like, oh, you have your base game. The DLC model is kind of a new thing, and a lot of people didn't like that because they were like, oh, so what? We're not getting the full game up front.
Well,
and, that was kind of controversial.
You've seen the meme, right? Like before, you'd buy the game. It's the hamburger. You have the hamburger. There's all those toppings, whatever. Now the DLC is the French fries, the soda. Whereas today, these big companies seem to be shifting towards is, okay, well, you're buying the bun. Now you need to, and like you alluded, like the sort of day one sort of DLC. It's like, well, now you need to buy the meat. You need to buy the lettuce. You need to buy the ketchup. You need to buy the fries. You need to buy something to hold the fries.
Yep.
And it's become a lot more. How you presented it to me before the stream, Harry, is the sort of you will own nothing and you will like it because they're selling you nothing.
Well, by degrees. Now, how would you gentlemen feel about a DLC for your CPU? So they've got this this is basically targeted at data centers for now. Don't think they're not going to try this on you guys later if they can get away with it. So this is just the tip of the nasty little iceberg. The new on-demand service from Intel will be for their data center customers for now, but I'm sure this is going to shift into consumer CPUs as years go by. And in some cases, it'll be all right. A data center CPU that can be upgraded with new features without a full CPU upgrade. Intel has two different models and on offer with its new on-demand program, the consumption model and the activation model. The consumption model is metered with flexible consumption to scale performance, yada, yada, yada. Activation model is licensed with a one-time feature and software activation, meaning you buy a CPU, there's capacity there, but you don't get it unless you give them more money, either all at once or incrementally. This is kind of terrible. So they say, Intel explains its new on-demand service, align your infrastructure investment with your business demands with Intel's API enabling business offerings that deliver flexible consumption and configurations. Look at what a good friend Intel is, Skep. Isn't that beautiful verbiage? Align your infrastructure investment with your business demands.
That's snake oil sales.
That's
fine
beautiful.
Business porn right there.
Yeah. We should expect more details on the new on-demand service at CES 2023, which is right around the corner. Yeah, this is great.
I've sold monorails to North Haverbrook.
I hate every single thing about this. This is just one example. I found a few others. Mercedes-Benz is going to introduce a new acceleration subscription fee. Let that sink in. You can subscribe to more acceleration. I know I've piqued your interest. Let me tell you a little about it.
Wait, what? What?
Okay, all will become clear, Skep.
Fantastic! Are they gonna, for an extra $5 a month, you unlock the brakes?
For an annual cost of $1,200 or 991 pounds, excluding tax, the company will enable some of its vehicles to accelerate from 0 to 60 a second faster.
Oh my god.
It comes after a rival manufacturer BMW offered a subscription. We don't care about them. For heated seats.
Whoa. Subscription for heated seats.
Oh, yeah. You can do that on the Tesla, too, by the way.
And it doesn't stop there.
Mercedes has confirmed to BBC News it does not plan to introduce the acceleration increase in the UK. Oh, how sad. However, it will be available for purchase in the US on the Mercedes EQ, EQE 350, and EQS 450 vehicles, as well as their SUV
buy
counterparts.
Electric cars. This is bullshit.
According to the Mercedes US online store, the feature electronically increases the output of the car's motor as well as the torque. All told, it estimates this amounts to a 20 to 24% increase in output, allowing a Mercedes Shemp to accelerate from 0 to 60 in about 5.2 seconds as opposed to 6.2 seconds without the subscription. So for $1,200 a year, you can basically dust other people in Mercedes off the line.
That's a carbon tax. That's what that is.
That's amazing.
That actually would that would sort of work for that.
They're passing on the taxes on to you.
It's functionally a carbon tax.
Meaning that if you drive in a spirited fashion, you should pay extra.
Exactly.
But isn't the EQ models? Those are not the gas. Those are all the electric. So what's the carbon tax from the making
Is
of
for
the
the
batteries?
The coal, the coal
increment,
that fires
the
the plants that
batteries.
fill the cars.
the incremental amount of hydrocarbons burned, and water vapor and CO2 emitted thereby.
So
Now-
here's my thing. For okay, you want to do the subscription service crap for like applications, certain things like that. Okay,
Mhm.
because someone will always create a freeware or a shareware equivalent that you can use, or universities or schools will buy something like Microsoft Office or whatever and allow you, as if you pay student fees to that institution, to use it. So things like that you can get around, but things like this where it's an actual like car that you're already paying, I don't know how many tens of thousands of dollars, like maybe it's $100,000 car, okay?
It's
And
not
you
cheap.
still have to do if you still have to do a subscription for something as basic as, hey, you want to use the full torque of the cool engine of this car? Give us more money.
Do you want to use the heater, the radio, the built-in GPS, the brakes? Like what? Where's it going to end? Because some of those things I just mentioned, you might think I'm memeing, but no, those are also being implemented. And we're not talking about your satellite radio. We're talking about your standard AM/FM radio usage, like it alluded to. Heated seats, using air conditioner.
That radio only plays
subscription-based.
Nickelback unless you give them more money.
No,
it
it
won't
comes
turn
with
off.
The new,
It won't turn off.
U2. It's like
Just-
Apple. The new U2 album is automatically downloaded.
Today in the news, Mercedes-Benz is facing class action suit for cruel and unusual punishment.
Well, I wouldn't.
It's a good
I
theft
wouldn't,
deterrent.
I wouldn't come to you with only 2 examples because that's just not the way I roll. I've got another example, and I think this one is beautiful. So, Zero Electric Motorcycles, based in Scotts Valley, California. You're welcome, California again. They opened this thing called the Cypher Store. Now, with the Cypher Store on their new motorcycles, you can customize your ride. You can go into an app, and you can just do all kinds of cool things. Let's just make that go away. It's the most customizable performance. Motorcycles just got better. So you can buy new features for your motorcycle that you've already paid $20,000 or more for in most cases. So for $20,000, I kind of expect it to actually be done. Like feature complete. Like I don't feel like I should have to give you more money for this thing. But 10% faster charging, that's only $195. Who doesn't want that, right? 10% more range, that's $1,295. And this is for the cheap bike. Oh, let's look at one of the more expensive bikes. Parking mode, which basically makes it easier to park your big, heavy, battery-driven motorcycle, that's another $200. And if you want a performance boost, that's another $1,800. And they have all sorts of upgrades for all sorts of bikes
Do you think
in the store.
there's any demand, any elasticity for those lower priced upgrades? Those little things, they shouldn't even call them out. They should just include them.
Yeah.
And charge for them. They should not itemize them out as a line item.
Yeah. Some of these bikes are bloody expensive.
Yep.
You're looking at $24,000, and they're still asking you to spend more money to get faster charging. It's like, of all the reasons not to buy an electric motorcycle, having to go to Texas Roadhouse and then eat bloomin' onions for an hour while you wait for your bike to charge to 80%. That's reason enough. Why are you giving me reasons not to buy your product?
Right.
Don't underestimate the illusion of choice. People like to think that they can customize something like a car, a pretty hefty investment. but really they're just being double charged for things. Like
Hey,
this.
were you around a year ago or so, Functional, when I
No.
talked about the motorcycle airbag vest that you had to have a subscription to, and so if you didn't pay your dues on the subscription, it just didn't deploy when you got in an accident?
No, I wasn't alive back then. Sorry.
It's beautiful.
I said around, not alive. I don't like the world. I just think you should charge a fair price for something that's feature complete, and then you should just be happy that you get repeat customers. I'm tired of this.
I will say, and maybe I have a silver lining for you, possibly. Two things. One is, if this becomes more of a trend, whether it's computers or vehicles, there will, I believe, become options that will start to open up for basically alternative forms of like vehicles or CPUs or something. It not right away, but eventually where you will like basically kind of more going old school with like companies that are more startups and stuff. So in some ways it could be good in the long run that way.
So their newest bike that they just introduced. Sorry, Geodes. Can you read? Do you see what it says right there that I've highlighted?
DSR X comes in stock with every available Cypher 3+ feature. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like they figured out that everybody hates their stupid pricing model, and now they're just like saying, "Oh, fine, we'll just give it to you with everything turned on."
There you go.
There you go. Because I can tell you, I am their target market. I am their target market. Idiots, who work hard and will spend money on stupid, expensive toys. I'm your target market, and I will not buy your stupid motorcycle if you're gonna nickel and dime me to have the anti-lock brakes work. I'm just not. Yeah. I'm gonna buy the Energica that costs $1,000 more, but is feature complete.
Yeah. Yeah,
and also has DC fast charging. But never mind. This isn't a motorcycle show.
Yeah. The other thing I was going to say too is, there are, and this is kind of going back to even like my modding days, but also back when I was doing like computer science, like computer programming, computer science stuff in college. The number of people that I talked to who were finding ways or talking about like technology that was coming out to basically, hack things like game engines or hack certain features of like software or even to a certain extent hardware to get it to do things that normally it's not designed to do. If they start doing stuff like this, you can bet that there will be people working on ways to unlock this stuff for free, like to trick the system to make it do what they want.
Yeah, one would only hope.
Yeah.
Well, because if in terms of the extra battery capacity that you can unlock from their stupid store, right? You're carrying the weight of those batteries that you're not able to use with you.
That's what I was just thinking about. The fact that you're carrying the batteries.
You're carrying the batteries.
Use all the potential energy that is available to you.
Well, not only that, but they're actually making your e-mileage worse because you're carrying around all this extra weight.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like a boat anchor.
Yeah. Sounds like ground for a lawsuit for me.
Which
it sounds like, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
You can get the boat anchor for an additional $600 a year.
Yes.
But it is monogrammed. It says 0 motorcycles on it, so that's fine. Let's see. I wanted to show you. Not everything in California sucks. There was a thing that's sort of been making the rounds, and it's mostly just people talking about how awesome California is. They're trying to get everybody not to leave. But I still like this video nonetheless. I'm going to play it with the sound off because I don't want to deal with this stuff. So it's a time lapse from Yosemite, which I just think is kind of gorgeous. Yosemite is a wonderful place. Have you guys ever been? Have any of you been to Yosemite?
No. Oh yeah, I've been there. I've camped there overnight.
Yosemite Valley
had
is
an
amazing.
Option a while ago, but I unfortunately my scheduling wouldn't allow it at the time. So
slept in the shade of El Capitan.
If I had all the money in the world, I can tell you that I would definitely want to take Imaginary Girlfriend to like go spend Christmas at the Ahwahnee, which is this beautiful lodge that they have surrounded by all this stuff. I mean, this is just like we have a lot of stuff like this. Maybe not quite as good as this, but it's there's a reason why I just don't leave, and part of it's just because I just don't have it in me to leave all of this stuff. And I've been other places, and I just don't see stuff that's quite this nice other places.
Well, that's why I love being here too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
Oregon is
North
gorgeous
America
too.
is just incredible.
Man, Oregon's
same
got some
here.
beautiful, beautiful scenery.
I've gotten to live some wonderful places. In all around the world. You know, from Thailand to Europe to America and all the parts in between. And the USA and North America really has every kind of climate and terrain you could want to traipse around in. Really is an amazing place.
Well, I found something else cool. So it's not in California, I promise. It's in French, unfortunately, so maybe you'll have to help me out. But look at what these people do with bamboo structures.
Look at these incredible houses.
Bamboo houses, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is in
Majestic
Indonesia.
and durable.
I mean, come on. That's building something like that out of bamboo is pretty damn cool. I guess it's like a resort. Sorry?
The Chinese have been doing excuse me, the Chinese have been doing that for centuries.
I have never
Bamboo
seen a
is so
Chinese
wonderful.
build something quite like this. This this is pretty amazing.
It looks a lot like the house from the jungle, or no, the Tarzan
Swiss
movie.
Family.
At the yeah, exactly that one.
I wouldn't give Disney enough money to see the new Tarzan movie.
No, I'm talking about the old one, like in terms of like the cartoon one. I haven't watched the new one. Fuck.
But this looks really impressive to me. I wouldn't mind. I would not mind going to a place like this. This looks pretty cool.
I agree.
Sorry, I couldn't find something that wasn't in French. So this is a thing that happened. OnlyFans model obsessed fan got her name tattooed above his genitals and adds her to her life insurance policy.
Okay, that's his choice.
Okay.
His body, his choice.
Yeah,
That's First Amendment all the way.
this guy spends
that's
$25,000. Sorry, 25,000 pounds a year on this young lady's services
Yeah,
or non-services. I mean, there's no service. There's just it might as well be Bitcoin that she's handing him. I mean, there's nothing of intrinsic value here.
it's let's see. Mercedes also confirmed that the transfix subscriber calls her his goddess and muscle mommy, has a shrine dedicated to her, and has even had her named her the beneficiary in his life insurance policy, claiming the OnlyFans model has ownership of his soul.
Man, I mean, there's simping and then there's this. This is like
that's
not.
called mental. No, that's called mental illness.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree. At the end of the day, it's their money, their time. They can do whatever they want. But
A person need to be protected from that.
It's one of those things where there is a reason why shame is a thing.
If this guy had any friends, they would all say, "Dude, you're nuts. What the hell are you doing?" I mean, we're going to send you to Indonesia to a spa with no internet, and then maybe you'll feel better about things.
Yeah,
but
it's just
mom washes his underwear.
I'm not scrolling down because I don't want to see. I know that further down in this article, there's a picture of this guy's, junk adjacent tattoo.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, come on. Oh, come on.
No.
Let's put it this way.
No.
He had to shave to get that thing. It's like, no.
Maybe in the after show.
Can you share this story?
Come on, people, simp responsibly.
No, but because I think I was going to share you this one because I was just I'm just like I'm like there is like this is the one of those times where I'm like again shame really is there is a reason for it and this is
important
yeah. If I get a mullet, I want my friends to tell me to stop. I want them to just say no. A mullet is not a good idea. I don't mean the fish. I mean the haircut.
It's business in the front, party
in the back. Exactly. And then somebody else sent this right at the last minute. Theater director is sacked after installing a 6-foot-high vagina in the foyer, which shocked Polish politicians. It's vajazzled, so that's something.
It's such an ugly depiction too.
Yeah, this is George. This
supposed
is
to be
not a
modern
Georgia
art.
O'Keeffe thing. No, this
Looks
needs.
like an apricot.
It's not good. Now they were asking this woman why she thought this was such a good idea, and this completely sane and not crazy woman here wearing a hat said that she agreed to exhibit the meter-high vagina dubbed Lady Moist because she wanted to promote feminism.
Okay.
Moist.
Yeah.
Moist is the best word. Moist is right up there with turgid.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm such a child.
She's not crazy at all.
We may need a shaming logo, like the allegedly logo, just shame or something.
Yeah, I think we do need that. I honestly feel like you'd be better off dating this woman than Amber Heard, but that's not saying much.
Yeah, she looks a little like Hillary Clinton.
Yeah,
I
that's
can see it. I can
yeah.
see it.
Yeah.
I mean, I have such nice things to say about Poland. I mean, based on the thumbnails that I get, you'd think I'd be all in on Poland, but
Nice.
anyway, how do I get back to
Very
this?
nice.
Okay, but no, I don't think this is a good idea. This is just a cry for help, honestly, or it's something from Lena Dunham's dad's art collection. Allegedly. Okay. So that's all I've got for tonight.
Well, that passed 2 hours very quickly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, yeah, I did.
Yeah.
2 hours
I mean,
of lively conversation.
anybody have anything else before we sign off?
Don't bedazzle your vajayjay. That's
Exactly.
Infection.
Yeah.
Stick your dick in
Hot
crazy.
glue guns are for certain types of crafts and not others.
Remember
Well-
to either simp responsibly or shame those who simp irresponsibly.
Well, this has been your Minions of the Zoo for Saturday. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you to my panel. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Right.
Bye.
Right.